As many of you now know, Wicked Twister has officially ended its operational status at Cedar Point. This news didn't really come as a surprise because rumors have been swirling around for some time about the demise of this roller coaster. The real question that comes into play though is, can Cedar Point continue to claim that they are the coaster capital of the world? Let's look at the facts. Now that Wicked Twister is gone, Cedar Point will have a total of 16 roller coasters, meaning the competition for having the best roller coaster collection is getting even tighter. In this video, I'm going to discuss various parks that have a legit chance of overthrowing Cedar Point as the coaster capital. Being the best doesn't mean that you have the most roller coasters, but takes many factors into consideration. I'll be looking at the coaster collection, which is both quality and quantity. Next, the overall status of the park, like are they considered a resort or in the process of becoming a resort? Does the general population consider it to be a destination park, etc.? Finally, will the park have the available space to house future expansions? I mean, you could have a great collection now, but if you have like zero land to expand, your chances of becoming the coaster capital of the world will get real slim. Alright, let's start out with a couple honorable mentions. Busch Gardens, Tampa. This park is quickly creating a solid collection of roller coasters. Its quantity isn't quite there, but 5 years later that could be a whole new game. Right now, Busch Gardens Tampa has 9 roller coasters with 1 on the way, lagging behind Cedar Point by 6 roller coasters. The park does have a decent amount of land, but unless they start chipping away at their safari, Busch Gardens is starting to run out of room for expansion, which is the main reason why I put them in the honorable mention. Next, Busch Gardens Williamsburg. With 8 roller coasters and 1 on the way, Busch Gardens Williamsburg has a solid collection. The park is really lagging in quantity by 7 when compared to Cedar Point, but I think they have the land to aggressively expand. This is a park to keep your eye on over the next decade. Okay, enough with the honorable mentions, let's get to the real parks. Let's talk about a couple international parks that could pose a threat to Cedar Point. First, we have Energylandia. This theme park has 17 roller coasters with 1 on the way. The park has been aggressively expanding ever since they opened in 2014. This park clearly has the quantity, but I'd argue it's lacking on quality. Most of their roller coasters are family attractions with only a handful of standout thrill machines. At the rate this park is growing, it's a real possibility that Energylandia will outpace Six Flags Magic Mountain for the most roller coasters. I don't know how much property this park has to work with, but their seemingly endless budget, Energylandia could be giving Cedar Point a run for its money within the next 5 years. Next is Europa Park. With 13 roller coasters and 1 on the way, this theme park has a lot of potential that can outshine any amusement park in the United States. Looking over their coaster collection, nothing really jumps out at me as top 5 worthy, which is why I don't think Europa Park could become a coaster capital of the world. It's clear that this park's focus is on theming and immersion, aspects that they do quite well. Alright, let's come back to the States and look at some potential Six Flags parks. The first one, which is the most obvious, Six Flags Magic Mountain. This amusement park outpaces Cedar Point in coaster collection by 3, soon to be 4 in 2022. Six Flags has, or more accurately, will have once again 20 roller coasters, more than any other park on the planet. For a while, many would argue that yes, Magic Mountain has more coasters, but Cedar Point has better roller coasters. I haven't been to this park since 2013, so there's a few credits I'm missing, but judging by the POVs and word of mouth, I'd have to say that at very least, Six Flags is remaining competitive with Cedar Point. If we were to compare their top 10s, it might be a close one. I still think Cedar Point has the better collection, but with yet another RMC coming to Magic Mountain with Wonder Woman Flight of Courage, they are closing the gap real fast. Now, there is one thing that will hold back Six Flags Magic Mountain, and that's its property. Neighborhoods are boxing in this park, and we already heard of those hilarious noise complaints, like building a house next to a park and you expect it to be quiet, go figure. Anyways, Cedar Point is a full-blown resort, something that Magic Mountain is not, and also not sure if that could even be in the cards. Six Flags Magic Mountain is technically a worldwide destination, mostly because of how close it is to huge parks like Disneyland and Universal. But for the most part, I'd say that Six Flags Magic Mountain's prime audience is regional. Now, Cedar Point, it's truly a destination park. It relies on tourists to keep operating and not the local population. Also, the next coaster coming to Cedar Point will be a unique ride built for their park. That might be a shot at Wonder Woman, but as a side note, I'm not dissing that coaster either. It'll be a nice attraction that matches the expectations of a Six Flags park. To me, the real threat to Cedar Point isn't Magic Mountain, but Six Flags Great Adventure. They have 14 roller coasters, with a couple considered among the best on the planet. The park also has a handful of fluff attractions, but not in excess like Magic Mountain. Great Adventure has a ton of land to expand on, and is technically the second largest theme park in the world when you take the safari into consideration. The park is also situated in prime real estate, about 45 minutes from Philadelphia and an hour's drive from New York City. Cedar Point currently has the edge on Great Adventure with more roller coasters and overall better quality of roller coasters. If Six Flags continues down this new path, like building B&Ms, again as we see with Six Flags Fiesta Texas, it's a real possibility that Great Adventure will start amping up the thrills and taking Cedar Point head on. The last park in the Six Flags chain worth mentioning, Six Flags Great America. They currently have 15 roller coasters, but I'm not sure if they have the land to continue expanding. Their collection doesn't look to be the best, and if we were to compare side by side with similar models at Cedar Point, I'm going to say for the most part, Cedar Point stays on top. Alright, let's now take a look at parks inside the Cedar Fair chain. Kings Island. Located only 3 hours away from Cedar Point, this previous Paramount park has been making waves in the past 2 years. With 14 different roller coasters, it's a real possibility that Kings Island could surpass Cedar Point in total amount of roller coasters by the end of the decade. Now, the collection might not be quite up to par with everything at Cedar Point, but they have a good top 5 and an excellent top 3. Kings Island is also not landlocked, and from what I can tell, still have plenty of land to expand. Any way we look at it, this park is improving, but not stealing the title away from Cedar Point, at least for some time. Carowinds, very similar to Kings Island, with 14 roller coasters, a solid top 5, and an excellent top 3. Carowinds' big negative is their collection is too top heavy. Outside of their top 4, the collection starts to drop in quality quite fast. It's not going to outpass Cedar Point anytime soon. I'm not sure if they have the land to work with, but it's a park worth keeping an eye on. Also, one final point, we thought that Cedar Fair was going to be moving their headquarters to Charlotte, North Carolina, but after this recent negotiations with Sandusky, Ohio, it looks like Cedar Fair will be keeping their corporate offices inside Cedar Point for at least for now. So if anything, what I'm getting at, if Cedar Fair's corporate headquarters were going to move down south, then I would say that this park would have a better chance of outtaking Cedar Point, but because it's not, I still think the chain is still focusing on Cedar Point as their main park. Alright, the last Cedar Fair park is Canada's Wonderland. This park has 17 roller coasters, one more than Cedar Point. However, their coaster collection is even more dire than Carowinds. Outside of their top 3, the quality drops to the floor. From what I hear by other coaster enthusiasts, it's a real chore to gather every credit at this park. Unless Canada's Wonderland is ready to break out the hatchet and hack away at their coaster collection, I'd say that Cedar Point is in no danger of being overtaken by this park. Alright, so the last park that I want to talk about is Hersheypark. This theme park has 14 roller coasters in operation. Their collection is also pretty solid with an excellent top 5. Their top 10 isn't half bad either. They are currently lagging behind Cedar Point in quantity, but I wouldn't be surprised if this park hits 17 roller coasters over the next 10 years. Hersheypark has been doing solid numbers and is a popular tourist destination. The biggest ding against Hersheypark is its land and height restrictions. I don't think they're allowed to build over 210 feet, which means no gigas. The park does have more land to work with, but it's oddly shaped. With that said, that's kind of what makes Hersheypark's coasters so great, is how well they incorporate the terrain. All in all, I don't think that Hersheypark will be beating out Cedar Point anytime soon. So, in conclusion, will Cedar Point retain its self-proclaimed title of Coaster Capital of the World? I think the answer is yes. It's pretty obvious that Cedar Point is planning a new roller coaster, most likely for 2023. This will keep them at the tip of the spear in quality, but not sure if they will ever surpass Six Flags Magic Mountain in quantity. I swear, Six Flags will build 8 Wacky Worms if that will keep them the title. The quality of the roller coasters at Cedar Point is unparalleled, and it's only improving with each new addition. They aren't building cheap roller coasters or clones. No, Cedar Point only puts in top-tiered attractions. This is what sets them apart from the competition. Well, that's gonna wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed this content, please show your support by liking this video. If you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. That way you continue to get more great content brought to you by Extreme Thrills.